Shera has been one of my favorite shows literally since I was like 10 years old. Since I first watched it then, I've rewatched it a handful of times and never get sick of it. In my most recent rewatch, I decided to take notes, and I put quotation marks around that because they weren't necessarily organized or academic. It would just be that if I had something like a comment or observation or wanted to remember a line that I thought was funny or impactful, I would write it down in my notes app. And it wasn't until I got near the end of my rewatch that I realized that most of these notes were about Catra. When I first watched this show, I probably didn't really pay attention to a lot of it, to be honest. I mean, I was like 10. I barely had any media literacy skills then. But after my most recent rewatch, I realized how important characters like Catra are. Her character and her arc is a great example of how to craft a morally and ethically terrible person that viewers still find themselves empathizing with. And in today's video, I wanted to break that down. The farther down I got into my rewatch, the more hooked and locked in I was with Catra's psychology. From only the first episode, she seems very shallow and predictable. We know this from Adora's reaction to her not participating properly in their Horde training. At first, she seems like a sarcastic, irresponsible troublemaker whose best friend always has her back. It's not until the inciting incident of the story happens that we get to see the type of person Catra really is on a deeper level. When Adora gets promoted as Force Captain, instead of being happy for her like a best friend probably should, she immediately blows up at her. Catra and Adora both grew up in the Horde, but were never really treated equally. Adora was regularly praised by authority figures like Shadow Weaver and Hordak, while Catra was always scrutinized. No matter how hard she tried, it seemed like she could never get on Adora's level, which created a lot of resentment on her end. The fact that Adora was constantly favored and always better at everything than she was. She's always been forced to live in her shadow. This aspect is what creates a lot of the love, hate, and codependent relationship that they have throughout the series. Catra grew up never receiving the love and attention that any child needs and deserves, something that is literally psychologically crucial for a person's development, and shit like that fucks you up. When Adora tells Catra that she's joined the rebellion, her immediate reaction is denial. Even though going through years of seeing Adora succeed in ways that she never has caused her so much pain, she can't imagine a world where her and Adora aren't together. She tries to force Adora to come back to the Horde, not because it's necessarily the most rational option, but because it's home. Despite the mindfuck that it is, the Horde is the only home that Catra has ever known, and she'd rather stay there than have to face the unknown that would be potentially joining the rebellion. By around episode 11 of season 1, Catra already had at least 2 opportunities where she could have very well just ended Adora right then and there. But she doesn't, because she still wants to be able to have a chance with her. If she just holds Adora captive or forces her to stay with the Horde, she's going to grow to hate her, and all Catra ever wanted was her love. It's the same reason why later in the season, Catra has the chance to delete Adora's memories, but can't bring herself to. She didn't want the only person who's ever shown her love to forget about her. Adora has always been the one cleaning up Catra's messes, mostly because of how close they always were. But you know, it gets to a point. This is literally showcased in the first few minutes of the show. Like, it is very obvious how used to this Adora is. Even though Adora was going really above and beyond in that way, sometimes picking up after Catra when she really shouldn't have, Catra still doesn't really feel loved by Adora because their dynamic is so fragile. Catra is only really ever happy when Adora is happy with her, and Adora only ever really has sound of mind when she knows that Catra is safe. In the second season, Catra says, "Are you kidding? I've got control of Adora, and I'm not giving that up." Once her corruption arc starts and she starts slipping deep into the Horde, all she wants is control of Adora so that she can get her to love her. Catra's role in this relationship is so interesting to me because she's constantly stuck in such a frustrating double bind. She wants love, but at the same time, never feels like she deserves it. So, much like her approach to other aspects of her life, once she loses Adora, she keeps the rest of her relationships shallow. This is a small but relevant rant, but as a writer myself, it honestly makes me so happy when I can map out characters' psychology like this, because this is genuinely my favorite part of writing my own characters, building their psychology from the ground up. One thing that I figure out for all my characters is their desire, fear, and misbelief. Something that I'd learned from a writing YouTuber that I loved for years, but no longer support for reasons. The reasons are honestly so ridiculous. Like, they piss me off. They piss me off so much. Because what do you mean you're a writer? What do you mean you're a writer and you use AI? What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? I know I sound silly, but I genuinely am filled with so much rage. I could talk about this forever. A character's desire is something that they want, something that they think will make them happy, but in reality, won't. The only reason why they think it will is because of their misbelief. An overgeneralization that is so clearly false to the outside person, but feels so grounded in truth to the person who believes it. Along with misbeliefs comes a fear. The reason why this person hasn't tried to get what they want in the first place. For example, in Project Hail Mary, Grace wants to be able to help save the world, but his fear of letting people down is holding him back, because he wrongfully believes that he's not heroic enough to go through with what Strat is asking him to do. In Alien Stage, Ivan wants to be able to confess his feelings to Till, but his fear of rejection is holding him back, because he wrongfully believes that he is unlovable. In Dead Poets Society, Todd wants to be able to be more extroverted, but his fear of outside judgment is holding him back, because he wrongfully believes that he doesn't deserve to take up space. I could go on and on and on. This foundation can be traced back to so many different stories, no matter the medium, age rating, or genre. As we go through the dual POV of this show, we get to see the way in which Catra's misbelief slowly leads her into corruption. Something that I immediately picked up on within the first few episodes of this rewatch is that Catra doesn't really want to hurt anyone. Believe it or not, she just wants power and for people to respect her. Looking through her past, Catra always felt like an outsider or not as good as other people, but has always been good at masking it with humor. She constantly acts like she's not even trying, or better yet, doesn't try on purpose, so that if she fails, it won't mean anything because of course she did. She wasn't even trying. This is actually said through subtext in the first season. If I came in first, people might expect me to start actually doing stuff around here. In season 3, she says, Adora was right. Adora gets everything she wants. All Catra wants is to be respected like Adora. She never really wanted to hurt other people, like in Trapta. But when she electrocuted her, she knew that she couldn't back down. She could tell that she had gone too far, but she couldn't let go of the evil facade. And we see this dynamic happening over and over again with different characters. Someone gets close to her, she pushes them away, only to immediately regret it. When she meets Scorpia and can tell that she wants to genuinely get to know her more, she continuously pushes her away. The viewer is to think that she just genuinely doesn't care, because it really does seem like it. But she does. She just can't get herself to admit it. It's not until Scorpia leaves her that we see how much she means to her, and how much damage her leaving does to her. When she thinks that Scorpia is still with her, she says, "Listen, I'll kill you if you tell anyone this, but I thought winning would be different. Or, I don't know, at least fun." It's clear Catra doesn't even want to be on the Horde's side anymore. She's just too much of a coward to switch sides, because she's put so much into trying to win. She's put so much into it that she doesn't even remember why she wants to anymore. It's extrinsic instead of intrinsic motivation. Every time she lets herself trust someone and they leave her, it's just another example to her already traumatized mind of why she shouldn't trust people in the first place. Each failed relationship builds her walls higher and higher until she doesn't even have anyone else in her circle. At first, she had Kyle and Lonnie and other members of the Horde, but near the end of the series, she's pushed them away as well, even though they're all clearly well-meaning. Another element of this world that's crucial to Catra's psychology is the Horde itself. Throughout my rewatch, I noticed how much the Horde kind of replicates an abusive household. They lie to you and make you think that you know more than the outsiders, which makes you not want to leave. Especially since we know that favoritism is so prominent with what we see of Catra and Adora growing up. It makes sense that even though she knows that this is a shitty place full of shitty people, Catra still craves other people's approval, even though it doesn't make any logical sense. The Horde creates this sickening double bind that plays with your deepest psychology. Catra is constantly chasing people's approval because she can't help but think, maybe this time they'll finally see that I'm good enough. Despite the fact that her brain has years of proof of people in the Horde constantly and purposefully mistreating her, her brain still craves this validation because it's an innate human need. Catra, like many other abuse survivors, has such an innate need to understand her abuser, Shadow Weaver. even though she knows that she's never going to change. We see this a lot more when she ends up gaining enough power in the Horde to lock up Shadow Weaver and basically just keep her as a prisoner. Even though it's cold, Catra still yearns for Shadow Weaver's affection. She feels weirdly comfortable or vulnerable around her, because despite the fact that Shadow Weaver has put her through hell and back for years now, she's still the only adult figure that she's ever known. This is another double bind that she finds herself stuck in, which is why her behavior might seem so irrational. I mean, I know that most people would love to kick their abuser's head in, but instead, Catra almost sympathizes with her. The almost exact dynamic is also shown between Hordak and Horde Prime. The relationship is the same as a relationship with a narcissist or an abuser. You think that maybe this time, if you do something just right, they'll finally respect you and take you seriously. But even when you do, it's never enough for them. Catra wants to be able to feel loved and respected, but her fear of abandonment is holding her back because she wrongfully believes that she is unlovable. Catra's redemption arc is very important to me because I feel like a lot of people can see themselves in her character if they were to look back into their past, especially if you are or were deep in the trenches of mental or physical health struggles. It can sometimes feel like you don't deserve love because of all of your baggage. You kind of build this belief that in order to be loved, you need to be perfect and never inconvenience people, because if you let too much of yourself show, or let too much of them in, then nobody will ever love you. But despite how far down Catra dug herself, she's still able to eventually see through her misbelief, understand other people's faults and hers as well, and still want to keep trying. Instead of continuing to turn her back to people who genuinely care for her, she wants to turn over a new leaf. Not necessarily forget about the past and the things that she's done, but apologize for it, let people know that she's trying to change, and get this, because this is the most important part, actually follow through with it. A lot of people, when they try to change, forget about that last part. Catra's redemption would feel really shallow if she apologized but didn't actually mean it. It's the fact that her personality, the way she holds herself, behaves, and reacts gradually changes that we know she's being sincere. To me, Catra is proof that even people that you deem bad or evil can only change if they're willing to. If they're willing to accept their mistakes as mistakes and not just a part of who they are. If they're willing to own up to the fact that they hurt you and work at themselves to try and not do it again.